You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt.
Welcome back On Air with Chris Shanafelt. Don't forget you can now catch the podcast on iTunes as well as many other platforms such as blogtalkradio.com and youtube.com. Just search On Air with Chris Shanafelt. This evening as we continue our 2019 NFL Draft Prospect Interview Series, it's a pleasure to welcome onto the show John Santiago, All-American running back and return man out of the University of North Dakota. John, really appreciate you taking some time this afternoon. How's everything going?
Going really well. Thanks for talking to me this afternoon.
Hey, the pleasure is all mine. A few weeks ago, John, you were in L.A. Participating in the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. Can you just tell us what that experience was like for you to showcase your skill set to all 32 NFL teams against some of the best talent in the country?
Oh, it was awesome. Just that whole experience was just it was a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, just the amount of experience that they brought there and people just to learn from, the wisdom they brought. It was just awesome, and it was just it was a privilege to me to just soak up that information and to use this in this whole process, because it's a long process and there's a lot of different things. And like if you're like me and you have had really nobody to go to for that, just because you're the first one going through this process, it's a great experience and something that really gets your feet in the door for things like this.
I know the head coaches of that game were Chuck Pagano, now defense coordinator for the Chicago Bears, and Mike Tice, former head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, former offense coordinator of many teams such as the Chicago Bears. Who were the coaches you were working with that week? I know they bring in a bunch of NFL legends, former NFL players, coaches. Who were some of the guys you were able to learn from throughout that week?
With me, I was on the American team, so that was coached by Chuck Pagano. And I worked more personally with Brandon Jackson. He was the running back for the Green Bay Packers, and he was our running back coach on the American team. And he taught us a lot of different things, not just about the game of football, but the mental aspect of the game of football. And he was a great coach for all of us.
Absolutely, and you were a part of the American team's victory in that game, the first time the American team was able to get a win in the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. If you don't mind me asking, John, who were some of the teams you were able to meet with throughout that week? What was some of the feedback that you received from NFL teams? How do they view you as a prospect as of right now?
I met with a couple different teams. I really was getting a lot of interest from the Falcons, the Giants. I met with the Colts for a little bit. Did a couple things for the Cowboys and the Raiders, and also the Buccaneers down in Tampa. And just all of them really try to just dig into you as a person. I mean, a lot of people don't know, a lot of people don't go into this process knowing what they're going to ask you, but they just really want to know you as a person in all different aspects, and they want to know you on just a guy-to-guy basis. Mm-hmm. And it's just really, they dig into you personal, and I think all the teams really looked at me as a guy who's more versatile, and he can play a bunch of different positions. Like you said, I was a return man in college. I played running back. I also was a punt return and kick returner. And I also believe that I can be split out wide and be a slot receiver too. And that's a really big thing for teams. Just show your versatility and your ability to just play the whole game of football in general. So I think they viewed me as just like a playmaker out there.
And I have to ask you, John, we're here in Chicago. Obviously, I'm sure you'd like to play for any of the 32 NFL teams, but I know you're a Minnesota guy. I assume maybe you grew up a Minnesota Vikings fan. I don't know. But, talking about the Chicago Bears, they're a team that might be in the market for looking for a running back in the 2019 NFL Draft. What would it be like to team up with a fellow FCS All-American like Tariq Cohen, who had a great career at North Carolina A&T? What would that be like for you?
That would be, awesome. Tariq Cohen is a guy that I really admire, and I admire his skill set and what he brings to the game. And also, me and him have a lot of similarities, being that I am a smaller back. I'm looked at as a smaller running back, and he's a smaller back. But, again, he's conquered so many different obstacles and just proved time and time over to play the football or a game of football with anybody. And so, it would be a humbling and awesome. I admire his game. and it would be a privilege to be next to him and just learn from his whole skill set and the whole process and everything, and just getting used to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, you might draw some Tariq Cohen comparisons. Again, you're one of a guy that's looked at as a smaller back, 5'9", 183, I believe you meant weighed in at, and at the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. Looking at your career, though, at North Dakota, John, I mean, really from the get-go as a freshman, you really just shine on the scene. 1,400 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns. How special of a season was that for you looking back? It was your most productive season, but how special of a year was that for you, your first year at UND, and how were you able to have such a big impact on the team so early on in your career?
Oh, that was the step in the door. I mean, that year I was blessed to have the opportunity to play and blessed to have the opportunity to showcase my skill set out there. And it's actually a funny story. I actually started out being recruited as a wide receiver throughout high school, even though I played running back during my prep days. But again, I was smaller than I was being right now than when I was a freshman. And they really kind of wanted me to play split out wide, but there was a couple injuries in fall camp, and they saw that I played running back throughout my prep days, so they tried me out there in fall camp. And, one thing led to another. I had to learn the whole playbook over again and just get used to the whole style of the offense, being an 18-year-old kid coming in there. And they ended up starting me versus the University of Wyoming, and I ran for 2 touchdowns, and we got our first FBS win out there in Laramie. And it was just an awesome that experience of just learning a college offense and just getting used to things, and then being able to showcase my skills out there as a returner and a running back that whole year. It was huge for me, and that was big for not only me but my whole family, and just prove people that it doesn't matter your size. You can play football if you have the heart, and that was huge for me.
And fast forwarding to this past season as a senior, you battled some injuries which forced others to step up, such as Brady Oliveira, James Johannesson, who both filled in nicely. But what was it like to be a part of that running back tandem over the years, John? How much of an impact has running backs coach Malcolm Agnew had on your running back room? I mean, I remember when Agnew was a prospect himself coming out of Southern Illinois. He was a fantastic player. I'm sure he's given you some advice as you look to move on to the next level, no?
Oh yeah, that whole family, the Agnews, really are just a close. I look to them as my own extended family just because of the advice I've got from him. Not about just the game of football, but life in general. He's always giving me life tips, and he's always staying in touch with me, and he's a man of his word. And the things that he's brought to the running back room and to me, Brady, James, and all the running backs in there is just it's humbling, and he taught us so many things. Like I said, not about the game of football, just about the game of football, but everything, and things that we can instill into our life as young men, and just keep growing in and growing to be more mature in. And he's helped every single one of the backs in that room just in so many different ways, and I'm blessed. We're all blessed to have him as a coach. But he's taught us a countless amount of things, and I'm blessed to have him as a coach throughout my years playing there.
Again, we're chatting with 2019 NFL Draft prospect, running back, and return man out of the University of North Dakota, John Santiago, here on air with Chris Shanafelt. And John, we've mentioned it a few different times. You're not only a fantastic running back, but you've made your presence felt on special teams as well, being a return man. You've brought back both a kick return and a punt return to the house during your Fighting Hawks career. Is that something you enjoy just as much as playing running back, just getting your hands on the ball in every which way you can?
Oh yeah, I just like being a playmaker, and I just like playing the game of football. But I was always a kick returner, coming in as a freshman. But punt return was kind of new to me until my junior year of college. And Coach Sean Kosich is our special teams coordinator up there in North Dakota, and he's made me grow in so many different ways. in that part of the game, and he's really perfected my skills. I'm always a guy who loves open space, and punt return is a guy who has to be good in open space. So, I mean, at first I wasn't really that good at catching the ball, I'm going to be honest with you, but again, he perfected my skills, and I'm blessed to have him as a coach and just to lead me in that aspect of the game.
North Dakota will be making the move to the Missouri Valley Football Conference in 2020, but was a member of the Big Sky while you were there, John. What was the competition like in the Big Sky, and who would you say are a couple of the best players you've lined up against over the years?
The Big Sky is a team or is a conference that is like no other. I mean, we've produced a countless amount of guys that went on and played professionally. There's guys like Cooper Kupp who play for Eastern Washington. The linebacker from Weber State, I forget his name, but he plays for the Arizona Cardinals. And, I mean, a bunch of different guys, I could say, were a huge impact or a huge game changer throughout the years. I mean, if I was to narrow it down broadly, I'd probably say that Montana had one of the toughest defenses countless year to year. That was always a headache going against them. But I would say the toughest guy I played against in college was my freshman year versus Portland State. We played Ravens linebacker Patrick Onwusor. And that guy, I mean, he was a playmaker. He was all over the field at all times, and he was the force to be reckoned with. But, yeah, he was probably the toughest guy I ever lined up against.
Not a bad choice, as his game is certainly translating to the next level, as he's now a big-time playmaker for the Baltimore Ravens. How about this, John? 5-10 years down the road, you're looking back at your collegiate career. What's the first play that's going to come to mind, and most memorable game of your collegiate career?
The first play to come to my mind will probably be that punt return I brought back to the house. It was versus Portland State, and I mean, I don't know. I really just don't know what happened. I kind of blanked out when I caught the ball and started running, and I mean, guys were making downfield blocks the whole way, and I kept breaking tackles, and that just proves that if you work as a unit, anything can happen. I mean, I did not know I was going to get out of that group of guys, but I mean, God got me through, and I got it to the crib, so that's probably the most memorable play. And just looking back on my whole career, I mean, I'm just blessed to have played at the University of North Dakota, and the chance they gave me, being it was my only Division I offer, and the support that they gave me throughout all 4 years of being there, it's a community like no other, and I'm blessed to be in that situation.
When did it hit you that you were going to give this thing a shot, John? When did it hit you? You know, not every year is there an NFL prospect coming out of the University of North Dakota. You know, when did it hit you that you were going to really give this whole NFL thing a shot? When did it hit you that, you know, maybe you could turn this dream into a reality?
I mean, it's been my dream. I think it's everyone's dream as a little kid to play in the NFL. And, I mean, I really tried to keep my head out of the clouds about that stuff until it actually hit me my senior year that I could go, and I did have the privilege to go on and play professionally. But again, I just kept my head down and kept working. I mean, when I just kept saying to myself, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, and that bridge is here. So I mean, I'm just gonna go as far as I can, and God's gonna lead me in the right direction. I know He will. But, again, man, I just kept my head down and worked throughout the 4 years, and one thing led to another, and if you put the work in, you'll get to what your dream wants to be.
A couple more questions for John Santiago, the running back out of North Dakota, 2019 NFL Draft prospect. And John, your season has been over since mid-November. What's your schedule consisted of since then? We mentioned the NFLPA game earlier. What was the whole agent process like for you? Where are you training at for your pro day? Where will your pro day be at? Can you fill us in on all that?
Yeah, so once I got done with the year, I kind of just took a week or two off just to come back. Again, I had a little bit of injuries during the year, so I had to recover those. And I'm actually the agent process. Again, I was blessed with a lot of mentors like Coach Agnew and my previous coach before him, Coach Kevin Maurice, and Will Rattel was a guy who kind of went on to play professionally for a little bit with the Atlanta Falcons. And just talking with all those guys and getting their knowledge, they kind of led me through the agent process. I got an agent through OTG Sports. He sent me down to Tampa. So I'm currently in Tampa training with ASPI, and Yo Murphy down here. He's trained a countless amount of NFL players like Naheem Hines for the Colts, and Sammy Watkins trained down here. And Randy Moss comes and coaches the wide receivers. And I'm just catching in all different aspects down here. But right now I'm down in Tampa. My pro day will be March 27th in North Dakota for sure. I'm trying to get access to different pro days. I think there's a lot of rules with stuff like this with pro days, but I think I can go to the University of Minnesota and do theirs, or I can go down to the university or to North Dakota State and do that maybe. But again, my for sure set pro day is March 27th in North Dakota. But that's the next thing on the agenda.
And of course, you're now training for that pro day. I'm sure you're loving the Tampa weather as opposed to Minnesota or North Dakota weather here February 11th. Any goals for your pro day? I mean, any numbers you have in mind that you'd like to hit, whether it's a 40 time, vertical leap, bench press, anything like that?
I just want to run fast. I mean, you're going to have to tune in if you want to hear or see the specific numbers, but I mean, I just want to run fast, show my explosiveness, show my versatility, like I said, as a punt returner, kick returner, do some things at the wide receiver positions for scouts to prove that I can just play the game of football. And, again, I want to show out in all different aspects and show that I can be a guy who can make a key impact for NFL teams at the next level.
Definitely going to be a big opportunity for you, John. A couple more questions. A very vague one here. What's your favorite part about playing the running back position?
Favorite part about playing the running back is, man, getting your hands on the ball and just being a playmaker. The running back is a position that's kind of like ghosting away from the game right now, but I feel like it's being utilized as an athlete position now in the NFL, being that you got to show that you can go out for routes, you're good with the ball in your hands, and you're also good pass protecting and protecting the quarterback. So it's a tough position, and that's what I love about it too, is that you have to be tough to play running back.
No doubt about it. And here's the question I end all of my interviews with. Let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're listening to this very interview. Why should they want the running back, the playmaker, the return man, John Santiago, running back out of North Dakota, part of their team?
If you invest in John Santiago, you're going to get a guy that works hard for your team and will do anything to make a key impact in the game.
John, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. It's been a lot of fun watching your game from afar over the years. Congratulations on all the success. Congratulations on the big-time performance in the NFLPA game, and certainly wishing you all the best as you get ready for your pro day and, of course, the 2019 NFL Draft. Thanks for your time, John. Best of luck.
Yep, thank you. Thanks for having me.